Now, I'm here by myself today because I've lost my co-host. Duncan's decided he's going to take a break for a while. Now, I've been sat about in Japan for this last month deciding what I'm going to do. And this is the first day off I've had since that month. So I interviewed Charlie with that cycling podcast. And then today, the 13th of February, is the first day I've had off since then. And I've just been sat about working and thinking what I'm going to do with this podcast. So, this is the first one that I've decided to go alone. I've got nobody joining me. So, for about 30 or 45 minutes, you're going to have to deal with me. It's a blessing or a curse. It's one or the other. So yeah, we are on the 13th of February. You can see behind me, for them watching on YouTube, I'm not prepared for this. I forgot my green screen, so I've got an old quilt cover up behind me that's not straight. I've got a bit of lighting behind me, and I'm in my living room at home. Kids are at school, the wife's at work, so I'm by myself. Now, what I want to talk about today, and I'm feeling embarrassed about being a Brit, because yesterday, Sunday morning here it was, and I've read about it today on internet. The Brits were on Sunday night. Now, thank God I didn't get to see them, because they seem to have gone to the shit. They've gone to the shits. Now, before I left the UK, when did I go? I went in 2002. So, yeah, I went in 2002, and I've not lived there since. But when I left in 2002, the party was over then. It was done. You know? The UK music season, the UK music scene was more or less done. It had hit a peak in 96, 97. And then what you got a weird transitional period where these American bands came in playing our music back to us. Stuff like the Killers would come in, and they'd been heavily influenced by Oasis. So they would play it back to us. And then in 97, when Oasis brought out Be Here Now, yeah, that was the fucking final nail in the coffin. But the Brits in 96 was, in my mind, when it was at its peak. After those Brit Awards, no, it's not reached those heights since. Now, let me just get my computer here. Now, I'm just going to bring up. I'll bring up Who Were Riding High in 1996. I've got it up here. I fucking did have. Yeah, here we are. Right, okay. So, winners and nominees. Right, so I'll just pick one. So you had let's just pick a. Let me just British Breakthrough Act. Okay, British Breakthrough Act. You had 5 in group of this category. So you had Tricky, Elastica, Cast, Black Grape, and Supergrass. Right? Now, 2 of them were absolute world beaters. I mean, Supergrass won it and Black Grape came second, which you could have flipped them. You could have tossed a coin to see who would have won that. Elastica, so Cast, yeah, and Tricky Bit of an arsehole in real life, that fella. But still, a good, strong lineup to get that nominee. Now, if you look at the big album of the year, What's the Story? Morning Glory, A Great Escape, Different Class by Pulp, The Bends by Radiohead, and Stanley Road by Paul Weller. Oasis won it, obviously. Now, when you watch the Brit Awards, when they went up there to accept that award, they were all off the tits. They were all off the tits on cocaine. I remember that Liam Gallagher had this, it was like a brown leather trench coat with a sheepskin frill to it around pockets at bottom. And he went up there, they accepted it, and they started giving Michael Hutchence a load of shite. They were pissed, shit-faced. How it should be with rock and roll. Going up there, taking the award, telling everybody to fuck off, going back to the table and chopping out a few lines. You know, how rock and roll should be. Not apologising to anybody. And the thing is with those groups, especially Pulp and Oasis, being from the north of England, you know, they were speaking to every lad in the 20s who grew up somewhere rough in the north of England. These people come from fuck all. And we did. So they were us. And it was fantastic because you were with them. You were fucking with them. Now, yesterday, the thing I've woke up to this morning, I saw Sam Smith on red carpet. What was he wearing? Who is he surrounding himself with that convinces him that that's a good idea? That is a good idea. He has got. I can only describe it. As, you see these paintings of Henry VIII, and around that period where they used to paint people in ridiculous outfits, because that's what we don't know what they were, because there were no photographs back then. But it seems like he's stepped into one of those photographs, right? I have no idea how he got there in taxi or even in limo. Even if he's coming in a big limo with loads of room in back. How the fuck has he got himself out of a car door dressed like that? So, this fucking idiot. So it looks like a black PVC plastic suit. His thighs are out to the side, like he's got his knees akimbo, and his shoulders are. What a fucking idiot! That's all I can say. What an idiot! Now, in 1996, so 96, 27 years ago, 26 years ago, 27 years ago. That won't fly in 26 years ago. You turn up in something like that, you would have been fucking destroyed the next day. And I've no idea what he's doing. Now, the thing about being an expat here in Japan is I don't bother with any of the music. When I go home, I've no idea who these celebrities are, because I've never heard of them, and they don't get through. These British celebrities that you get, they don't make it through to Japan. So it's kind of great that I don't know who these people are. Now, Sam Smith, I was listening to the song he performed, the Unholy song, and it's not good. It's not good. I cannot believe that got any sort of airtime. I can't believe somebody decided it were a good idea to put that on TV. Because it's no good. It's no good at all. Now, who's he talking to? Is he talking to the youth on the council estates in the north of England with this shite? I mean, and I'm not having a go. I'm not having a go. He's a talented singer. When he burst onto the scene, that's great. And I think he saw his fame waning. So he says, okay, I'm gay. Oh, piques your interest a bit. And then that wanes a little bit. And it's like, oh, I'm non-binary. Does anybody give a shit anymore? And now in 2023, he walks down the aisle like he's fucking shit himself in a wetsuit. I mean, I'm just looking at the photo of him. I didn't see him walk down the red carpet. I've no idea how you walk down the red carpet in that fucking thing. And I was going to have a look at the Brits. I mean, I watched him do the unholy performance, which was fucking unholy. You know, it's the right fucking title for it. Jesus Christ. But was he sat down watching the award ceremony in that outfit? Did he get changed? Because to me, when you go out, you get yourself ready to go out, you put your stuff on, you go out to a cinema, to a theatre, to pub, and you're wearing the stuff that you go out in. You don't get fucking changed halfway through night. And I'm just, what would you go out if you went out in that? And not just where I'm from, where anybody's from. You're not going to get home without some kind of fight, somebody pushing you over, somebody taking the piss. Everybody's taking the piss out of you. You might get punched, but everybody will take the piss out of you wearing shit like that. And Sam Smith made a big statement at the 2023 Brit Awards. The unholy singer 30, who came out as non-binary in May 2019, turned heads for their extravagant and bizarre silhouette walking down the red carpet. How did he walk down the red carpet dressed in something like that? The outfit, an all-black latex custom suit made by the London-based fashion label Harry, featured pointed shoulders and wide outwardly pointed thighs, which were both inflated. So I suppose a good thing about this outfit is if his limo driver is pissing himself laughing while driving home, taking Sam Smith home to his fucking £30 million mansion somewhere in West End of London with fucking glory holes everywhere. The limo driver is driving down the embankment in London, just pissing himself laughing at what the fuck he's transporting home. He's hit the barriers and he's ended up in Thames. The good thing about this outfit is at least Sam Smith will be able to float. As long as he can get that door open to the limo, he'll be able to get him. Well, no, because he won't be able to get himself through the window in that get up. He's not going to be able to save himself to get himself out of the limo. Now, hopefully, the buoyancy aid he's wearing will be able to keep the limo afloat. If he's banging up against the roof of the back seat, as that water's pouring in, and Sam Smith's there screaming, fucking worrying about the life choices he's made, the outfit that he's worn, a crowd is gathering along the embankment. They realise it's Sam Smith. They've seen it live on TV what he's wearing. Nobody's coming to his assistance. They're laughing at him. Like an episode of Jackass. You get your fucking self out. Would you risk your life? Would you risk your life to save a man who's dressed like that? Even if he had kids, I wouldn't be jumping in Thames to save him. Smith accessorised the look with shiny gloves, black high-heeled boots, along with a pearl earring on his right ear and a stud in the left. Who is noticing his earrings? Who's noticing his earrings? I mean, you look at, and how is that cameraman who's taken the photos of Sam Smith able to keep his camera steady? Surely he's pissing himself laughing. You can't applaud that. It's not there to be applauded, for fuck's sake. And his black gloves. What I'm thinking is, he must be sweating on the inside, because there's no way that any of the heat is getting out of there. And the way that he's looking into the camera, the way that he's staring into that camera, every part, every milligram of his self-esteem has left his body. He's got no self-esteem. He's got no self-respect. And it can't get out. His self-respect and his self-esteem cannot get out because it's on the inside of that fucking outfit. Like, try to, let me out, let me out. I need to get out. I need to get out of the, and it can't get out of this outfit. What were you thinking? Sam Smith, what the fuck were you thinking? And I have to apologise to the rest of the world, because we were the world beaters when it came to music. In the 60s, people still playing Beatles records. Paul McCartney is still relevant. He's still relevant 60 years later. The Beatles are still relevant. The 70s, like you say, you went from the 60s to the 70s, slight dip, but still good music. The 80s, the fucking 80s. What a desolate landscape that was in the UK. And how desolate was it? I was 21 years old. I was a garbage man in Bradford, picking up rubbish, driving a bin wagon. And I was listening to the radio, and they were having a ticket giveaway. In Excess were playing in Roundhay Park, and In Excess were the biggest band in the world at the time. And I thought, is this it? Is this the soundtrack to my 70s? In Excess? In Excess is the soundtrack to my 20s. I mean, my mum and dad, they had the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, they had all that good stuff. And I've got In Excess. I've got nothing in common with In Excess. I'd never been to Australia. I'm not an Australian. I'm not a good-looking fuck like Michael Hutchence. There was nothing I had in common. Spandau Ballet and Duran Duran. Duran Duran, fucking Simon Le Bon, Girls on Film and Rio, sailing round fucking Rio de Janeiro on a sailing boat. Her name is Rio. What's a man in his early 20s got in common with that from the north of England? Nothing. And neither did they. They were from Birmingham. They're from Birmingham. Simon Le Bon. Another bunch of fakers. But yeah, you had nothing in common with them. And then, like a silent rumbling in the distance, distant thunder, you had this, the Stone Roses, and then Carter, the Unstoppable Sex Machine. It was like, oh, this is... And then Suede came in, but they were art school, but they were still good. They were still good. And they seemed to drop the ball. Bernard Butler left. They were going to be the big thing. And then just like a fucking roller coaster, Oasis come crashing through the door to gate crash this party. And they were speaking like we speak. They want suffering fools gladly. If they didn't like something, they said it. All they wanted to do was play music, pick up women, and drink beer, drop some pills, sniff some coke, and just enjoy life. And it scared people. It scared people that young people wanted to start enjoying themselves again. You know, there was this underground thing where you would turn up in the middle of a field. Loads and loads of people, hundreds and hundreds of people would turn up in a field. A DJ would just arrive, play music, and we'd all dance about on ecstasy. And the police didn't like that. And they passed a law where a gathering of a certain amount of people was not allowed by law anymore. Thatcher didn't like young people enjoying themselves. So that law was passed, but nobody listened to it. And then Blair, you know, he got elected, and it were a new dawn, and it was great. It was great, was the UK for those 3 years. Those 3 years, I would say 94 to 97. 1994 to 1997. The centre of the world was the UK. And when you think that it's gone from that, where you're going up on stage, a bunch of council estate chancers in the 90s, millionaires, going up on stage, giving Michael Hutchence a bit of shit, going back to the table, getting pissed, snorting coke, drinking booze, picking up women. That has gone to Sam Smith looking like he has got £10 of shit in a £5 bag, with a look on his face saying, good God, where has my fucking life brought me? And I feel ashamed. And that is why I apologise to the rest of the world. And I don't know when the Grammys are. I've no idea when the Grammys are. But if he's invited, you Americans, if he is invited, don't give him the appreciation we give him for wearing that. He's got no balls doing it. It's a terrible, terrible outfit. What were you playing at? Who's advising you? Is your mum not around to say, what the fuck are you playing at? Anyway, that's enough of that. I think my blood pressure's going up. Right, let me get back to some... I'm going to get back to some news that I found in Japan today. There's a couple of stories. See, this is the difference, you see. This is the difference between Japan and the UK. So, I think we were in Osaka. Let me just see. I can't find it now. So, the things that people do in Japan, it's more or less a crime-free country. And when stuff does happen, people are in an uproar. Now, you watch the national news, which is broadcast all the way from Hokkaido right down to Okinawa, and you'll get stories about young Japanese fellas that have gone on the telephone to these old grandmas and said, look, I'm your grandson, I'm in jail, you need to wire me this money to this account. Yeah, it's not my name, but it's my lawyer's name, and he's going to get me out. So the grandmother will wire 3 million yen to this account, and you know they'll steal the money. But these people always get caught, and you'd probably get a little story in a local newspaper if you were in UK. But stuff like this goes on national TV because the crime that's the most serious crime that happens in Japan. Now, what I found today, there were two stories I found. Two stories that are worth mentioning today. And the first one it's a story from Osaka. And we had a fella in Osaka who robs a convenience store and then tries to rob three others in the same area of Osaka. Now, he's gone in, he's dressed head to toe in black, and he's got his mask on because we're still masked up here in Japan. 3.5 years after, we're still masked up. Unbelievable. Anyway, he goes into this first convenience store. He puts a knife to the woman behind the counter, 51-year-old Japanese woman who shits herself, and gives him 50,000 yen. 50,000 yen, what's that? 350 quid, or there or thereabouts, between 350 and 400 quid. And then in the next 20 minutes, it goes to three others. Because he's obviously, his confidence is up. The first one has been very successful. So he goes to three others. Give us your fucking money. And now these three others are only in a 700-meter radius. Idiot. They're only in a 700-meter radius. And the other three convenience stores had younger people behind the counter. So they just told this fella to piss off. Get the fuck out. So, obviously, the staff phoned the police. And the men turned up and caught him. Now, he is not the sharpest tool in the box, shall we say. Because he robbed his first convenience store at 3:10 in the morning. Now, 3:10 in the morning in Japan, most people, like most countries, the streets are deserted. So there's not many people out. So he robs his first one at 3:10, and then by 3:30 in the morning, he's tried to rob three others. Now, the thing is, he's got away with the first one. And he's gone to three others in a 700-meter radius. The police have come. They've obviously just gone round all the convenience stores. Now, convenience stores are everywhere. If you need a drink, sandwich, you've only got to walk less than half a kilometre and you will come upon one of these convenience stores. So he's gone on a spree. And the police have got him after 20 minutes of him doing his first robbery, and they've got him in the back. And it turns out this dumb fucker lived within walking distance from all these convenience stores. So he's robbing convenience stores in his own neighbourhood early on in the morning when there's nobody on the street, dressed all in black with a white mask on. So they've given him the description of the criminal. They've told him he's still in the area. And these policemen have caught him. Now, the thing that got me the most was when he was interviewed by police. When this fellow was interviewed by police, they asked him, "Why did you do it? Why did you do this?" And his answer was, and good luck to him in court, because I think you're away for at least 3 or 4 years with this one. His excuse was, I was in a foul mood. So he went on a crime spree robbing convenience stores. Now, the job I've got at the moment, I mean, I work for myself at night and I work for myself at the weekend, but I have to work a part-time job 5 days a week. And the people that I work with, when I first started there, put me in a foul mood because they're just those type of people. Now, to get out of my foul mood, or to put me in less of a foul mood, I cycle to work and I'm fine. Not one of those days of those past 3 years that I've worked at this place where I work now, have I thought to myself, these two fuckers that I work with, give me a knife, I'm off to a convenience store to get myself some money. Now, they are not weak on crime here. As much as you can say, it's probably, if there's no other country I think that is closer to being crime-free than Japan. So that when there is a crime, you're fucked. You're fucked. You're going in to the big house for a long time. For stealing, 3 years minimum. 3 years minimum. And it's not you're going in to be rehabilitated. There's none of that in Japan. You go in there to get punished. You go in there to get punished. You're not given 3 square meals a day. You're given food, which you've got to cook and make it yourself. You're told when to stand up. You're told when to sit down. You're told when to eat. So you can have the food in front of you. If those prison guards are not getting, if those prison guards are in a foul mood, they'll make you wait until your food's gone cold, and then they'll say you can eat it. Because if you start eating before you've been told to eat, yeah, that's solitary for you, my friend. I mean, you can only look to the British prisoners of war to see how bad it was then. And apparently, not much has changed. So I will watch out for this dumb fuck. I don't know if does he say his name? Nah. Police said the man in the 4 incidents was dressed all in black, and he claimed he did it because he was in a foul mood. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Get your head down. Go to bed. So that's just one of the stories we've got here. Right. I had another one. Right, the last story I've got here before I get off, because we've just hit the 30-minute. We've just hit the 30-minute mark. Right? Fukuoka. Fukuoka. Great name for a city, isn't it? Fukuoka. I don't know. Fukuoka. That's how I would say it. Police in Munataka, Fukuoka Prefecture have arrested a 60-year-old man on suspicion of assaulting a man in his 30s after he dropped litter on the ground outside a train station on Saturday morning. Right. Saturday morning last week. About, what does it say? So 12:30 a.m. So it's saying Saturday morning, but it were fucking Friday night. So a fella coming home from his work, he's trying to get a taxi. Probably got a bit of a fresh on, has taken something out of his pocket and something's dropped on the floor. This is the man in his 30s. So a man in his 60s has walked past, and he's a government worker. He's a government worker for the Transport Ministry's Light Motor Vehicle Inspection Organisation. Jesus Christ, that sounds boring, written down on the page. So this 60-year-old fella is working for the government in an office that is Light Motor Vehicle Inspection Organisation. Ugh. And he's probably been working there for years, and he's 60, and he's about 5 years off retirement. And I think he's got to that age where he's been in this job for 35, 40 years, and he's now realizing, what the fuck have I done with my life? What have I done with my life? I can't get it back. I've been in this office for 30, 40 years doing light motor vehicle inspection. I've got nothing. I've got nothing. I've got 5 years doing this shit job. And then what is it? We're empty nesters. I've got to spend the rest of my time with my wife. What are we going to do? And he's pissed. This 60-year-old is pissed. And he sees an opportunity to make himself feel again. This fella's probably dropped a bus ticket. It wouldn't have been out big. It wouldn't have been out big. And if he has dropped it, I think this 60-year-old has not given him a chance to look round and pick it up. He's just gone over to him and he's smacked him in the stomach and said, pick it up. Witnesses said the two men started arguing and Hiraki punched the younger man in the stomach and started to walk away. But the victim, are you a victim? Are you a victim if a 60-year-old smacks you in the stomach and you're 30? Are you really a victim? Are you really a victim? If that 60-year-old is Mike Tyson, you're a victim then. But a 60-year-old government worker who works in the ministry's light motor vehicle inspection organisation, if a 60-year-old came up to me and smacked me in the stomach and then just held up a card and said, look, I've been working in this department, the light motor vehicle inspection organisation, for 40 years and I've just smacked you in the stomach, I'd just say, look, brother, smack me again if it makes you feel better. Smack me again. But the 30-year-old, he held on to him until the police arrived. Police said Hiraki, who was drunk when apprehended, has denied the allegation and quoted him as saying he can't remember what he did. Now, I'm fully behind that excuse. Can't remember what he did. Because if he's in his 60s, it doesn't take much to become blackout drunk. It's not as if he's in his 20s and you've got olive legs. If he's in his 60s and he's pissed, if a man in his 60s who's blackout drunk takes a swing at you, even if it connects, it's not going to work. So I don't think I could have been arsed holding on to the fella until the police arrived. Although, if he's by station and there's an incident, the police are going to be there in a matter of seconds. So he's getting dragged off. He's being charged with assault. Now, poor Hiraki, he's going to have to go home to his wife because he'll have got locked up on Friday night, Saturday morning. He's got to spend Saturday and Sunday in jail. He'll be up in front of a judge on the Monday and then he goes home. Or, because he's Japanese, he might just go straight back to work, to the Light Motor Vehicle Inspection Organisation. Now, if he's going back to work in the clothes that he had on when he left on Friday, he's got the same clothes he had on Friday. He's been in them clothes for 3 days now. He were very pissed on Friday night. He's slept in them clothes for 3 days and he's going back to work. Probably not being home to wife. He's doing another day's work on the Monday and then he's got the long walk of shame home. The wife obviously knows what's happened and then he's going to get in shit with her. So poor old Hiraki. So, Sechiro Hiraki, Fukuoka Prefecture Office. Yeah, that poor old sod. Light Motor Vehicle Inspection Organisation. I've got to put a bit of colour in my life. I've got to get a bit of excitement in my life. Let's just punch a fella who's dropped a bus ticket. That'll make me feel like I'm alive again. I'm alive and I'm back by punching a 30-year-old. Well, I don't know what you're going to get for that, Hiraki, but I think you're going to get a fine and you're going to have to pay this young fella a bit of money. He'll be laughing. So if you ever come to Japan and you stood at a taxi rank waiting for the lift home, just drop a tissue out of your pocket. Let it annoy a man in his 60s who will smack you. He'll go to court and then you'll get compensated. And hopefully, the compensation that you receive will be enough to pay for your holiday. And that, and those pearls of wisdom, is my first solo podcast. Now, I'm going to try and edit this down to something that's bearable for you. Right? And I'll try and do a few more of these. I'll try and get myself a decent backdrop. And thank you for listening. And I'll see you again soon. And hashtag Sam Smith, what the fuck are you playing at? See you soon.